thought I'd look into these charts a little more because, like, we always see these features. This is FinViz. So if you go to chart type, the line chart is kind of the default. So let me change it. It's usually the linear line chart is the default. So it just plots the point on where the stock closed. So and this is weekly. So on April 25th, it closed at 460. September 1st, it closed at 485, and so on and so on. It just plots the point it closed at and just connects the line. This is NVIDIA. But there's a lot of options. You can look at it on a percentage basis. So from August 25th to current, it's up 90%. So you can see how the because you can't see percentages on the regular line chart. And of course, if you go out further, like if you go back to 2021, it's up 320%. You could also do logarithmic, which so that's a little less useful, I think. I don't think, does anybody use logarithmic? I'm not sure how that would be beneficial, but let's just skip that. Candlesticks, which I definitely use quite a bit. So candlesticks gives you more information. So if you looked at May 2023, looking in the top left corner of the screen, you can see like the opening, closing. So it opened down here at 278 for the month. It closed up here. It closed at 378. But the high was 419 because the candlestick, the wicks on the top and bottom, show you where the highest point for that month. So if this was the line chart, it would just, a point would be the closing. A point would be here, point would be here, and just the points would be connected. Since it's a candlestick, it shows you where it opened for the month. You could do daily candlesticks also. So on the last trading day, which was last Friday, on March 8th, it's red. So you know it opened up here. It opened here at 951. It did get up to, the high was 974. And it closed the day down here. So it closed at 875. And the day before, it was a green day. So it opened down here and it closed up here. So it closed March 7th at 926, the stock price. And it opened way down. So there's a lot of post-market trading and pre-market trading in order to move the price so much. So it closed up here because it's green. It opened down here. You could trade pre and post-market. Can't stay, but got to drop a like. Okay, thanks, Fat Chin. I appreciate it. I like candlesticks a lot because it shows you kind of like the activity through the day. And it does give you a little more information, because if you see a really big wick, okay, like here's a really big wick. It opened here. This was November 22nd. It opened at 498. It closed at 487. You see on the top left of the screen, it says the C 487. But look at the wick. It came all the way down here. So lots of selling pressure, midday selling pressure. So you can see the bears were trying to take control, but the bulls ended up like trying to force the stock price to not go down so much, because the bears push it way down to 476, but the bulls managed to bring it up here to close. So if that's the case, you would think that it would be a green day the next day, because the bears did a good job at pushing it back up. But the bulls, but the bears still managed to keep control of the stock. So the following day it opened up here, so it was a little gap down because it closed here, then it opened here. So it closed 487, opened 484. So it opened 3 less. And then the bears kept control and pushed it even lower, push it down to 477. The following day it opened pretty much where it closed. It opened 478 and it closed 482. So the bulls won that day. It's that simple. If a stock price goes down, there was more bearish activity, more sells than buys. And if the stock price goes up, there's more bullish activity. There's more buys and sells. And if for instance, like a stock price is 100 and people put sell orders in for like, well, then they're obviously going to put a sell order in for at least 100, probably more. I mean, if they want to sell it without any, if they want to sell it right away without waiting, they just could sell it for 100 at the market price. But a lot of people put an order in for like 105, 107, 110. This might be some crazy people putting in for 150, and they just let it sit there for a few months in case it does go up. So that's just what they do. And if the people who have a sell order at 105, 107, 110, if they need the money, they start lowering it. They might lower it to 100, 101, 102. And then the stock price may start going down. It may go from 100 to like 97. So if the person really needs money, or they're just scared the stock price may keep going down, they have to keep lowering their price. So it depends how much pressure is on the bull side, the upside, or the bear side, the downside. So it's probably a good thing to try to see how many open orders there are. Does anybody know, like, is there a website that shows you how many open orders and the price of the orders? And you could also do the percentage and logarithmic for the candlesticks as well. So you can see from November, this was November last year, to current, the stock is flat. That's the January, I think. And obviously it's up a lot the past few months. So the big red day, the last trading day for NVIDIA. Does that mean it's going to be another red day? Who knows, right? The Heiken Ashi, let me do the linear Heiken Ashi. So you see, it looks different, right? Because it shows it as a green day, right? The last trading day is green for the Heiken Ashi. But when we looked at the, let me change the layout. Okay. So Heiken Ashi is up here, and down here I'll do the candlestick. Well, you can't do different charts. You have to do the same exact chart. What's the point of the split screen? This is stupid. I guess the split screen so you can move one to a different date. Okay, I'll just do the full screen. So I think the regular candlestick is pretty straightforward, right? It opened here and it closed here, and then midday it got up here. Midday it did get down there, but it ended up closing right here. So you see red, green, green. These are daily charts. So last week, Thursday was a green day, Wednesday was a green day, Tuesday was a green day, Monday was a green day. And then the Friday before that was a green day. So all these greens. But if you do the Heiken Ashi, it's green even this day. It's actually 2, 4, 7 straight green days, then a red, then 3 green. It smooths out because candlestick is more finite, like the actual open and close. The Heiken Ashi, maybe it's easy to show you. It does a calculation. So the close price is 1/4 of the open plus the close plus the high plus the low plus the close. So it smooths out the day. Same thing with the open. The open on the Heiken Ashi is the previous open plus the previous close. And it's half of that. I guess you just got to get used to these, but it just smooths out the numbers. So it's less kind of like green, red, green, red. It's more likely to have straight greens or straight reds. Does anybody use the Heiken Ashi? I do see the value, but I don't really use it too much. The hollow candle, I think hollow candle is more for visual purposes, but it's the same exact thing as the candlestick. This is the daily hollow candle. Let me just check. It seemed like my screen got darker. Confidence indicator. I'm going to try to go through each indicator. It is the most bright. Okay. So the hollow candle, it's hollow on the green days. So it looks exactly like a regular candlestick, except it's all filled in on a red day, and the green days it's hollow. I'll show you Investopedia. I'm not the best at explaining things. Candlestick charts. Okay. Okay. A bullish candle. So what do you guys know why some hollow candles are still green and they're not? Why this is the hollow candlestick chart? Why some are filled in green? Because I thought all hollow candles, all bullish green days are hollow, and reddish days were filled in. But there are some greenish filled in. Do you know the difference? Okay, the current candlestick's close is greater than the previous candlestick's close. What does green hollow mean? What does a green candle mean? So green means stock price is going up. Specifically, the current price is higher than the previous. And red means down. Hollow / filled capacity open and close into a time. Hollow means the price went up in the individual period, while filled means the price went down. That's not correct, because there are some filled in green. So maybe we could figure this out. So this was a green day. It started here. It opened at 7:50. This was on February 22nd. It opened at 7:50. It closed at 7:85. So it's hollow. It's green. It's a bullish day. The next day it opened 8:07. This is a red day. Look, this is interesting. So February 23rd. You see, February 23rd is a red day. February 23rd opened 8:08. So it opened up here and it closed 7:88. Yet it's a green filled in candle. Green candle filled in hollow candles. What does green? This can't be a mistake on a website, right? Why is there a green? Volume is red on the green filled days. Okay, let's see. So this is a green hollow day. Volume 86.5 million. The next day, volume 82. What do you mean by that? Volume is red on the greenfield days? Because this is a bearish day, because it opened up here, closed up here. Yet it's filled in green, and the red's down here on volume. This is another hollow, but it's green down there. I guess I have more to learn on this hollow candles. I thought I understood it. Okay, red hollow candle. Come on. Okay, a red candlestick is price. Oh, come on. The security is below both the price at which it opened and at which it previously closed. The candlestick may also be colored red if the close is below the prior close but above the open. It would usually appear hollow in this case. I think that might answer it, but I have to read it again because I don't think I was reading it, was concentrating. A hollow red candle is when the close is below the prior close but above the open. Okay. Hey, how's it going, man? I bought a fundamental analysis book for dummies to better understand the videos. I'm learning a lot. Oh, Ian, that's awesome. Let me know what you learn, and if you want me to talk about any topic. I like reading books like that because you get so much more out of anything, including investing, when you try to understand things on a really simple, basic level. Once you understand the basics with like anything, like learning a sport, learning a language, you get so much further than trying to get into the complexities of things. Because even these complex topics I talk about, like on financial statement analysis, it almost seems like a waste sometimes. Thanks. I'll be sure to ask questions. So this closed at 785, and this opened at 807, and closed at 788. So this was on February 23rd. February 23rd, it's green, and it's red here. Okay, so that's a difference. That's a difference. Okay. So a red candlestick chart means it opened here and it closed here. It's pretty straightforward. Regular candlesticks are very straightforward, very easy to understand. Hollow is a little different. Since this is filled in, this chart, that means it was a bearish day, even though it's green. Yeah, repetition, exactly. Anything. Like you can sit and shoot free throws for 3 hours a day, 5 days a week for 2 years. And that's going to help not only your free throw shooting, your 3-point shooting, your every area of shooting. It's, just anything, anytime you perfect something, it kind of connects to other things. The way I do a lot of repetition. I think it's important. I think because why get into complexities when you don't need to? You can explain things. That's how I feel, like, because I used to teach math, and the only way you really know something is if you can explain it to a 10-year-old where they understand it. If you can't do that, you don't probably know it that well. Because try explaining something. Like I do that too. When I try to explain something, even live or in videos, afterwards I'm like, that wasn't very clear. I didn't explain it well. But then the second time you explain it, or the third time you explain it, it gets better. For example, okay, so hollow candles, I don't think are a bit confusing. But let's move on. At least we understand it. Okay. The OHLC. I mean, I'm in the garage right now woodworking, but just watching analysis at the same time adds a layer. It's just exposure. The more exposure you have to something. But what really can help you or anybody is if you could find somebody. It doesn't even have to be someone who's good at finance. Just find somebody to talk to, because when you explain it, ideally, if it's a back and forth, it clicks a lot better. But unfortunately, not all of us have people to explain it to. Try explaining it to your wife. She'll be like, "Okay, I don't want to hear it. It doesn't make sense to me." So that doesn't usually help, but explain it to, even if it's someone who doesn't understand it, as long as they're receptive to listening to you. Because I was at like a mixer once, and somebody's like, "Oh, what do you do?" And I said, "Oh, I tutor math." And he said, "You must be really, really smart, because when the tutor absorbs 75% of the material and the student absorbs 25% of the material," which I was like, I never heard someone say that, but it made so much sense to me, because I feel like when I explain something, I'm constantly thinking of different ways to explain it. And I feel like I get more out of the math than the kid does, because I'm just sitting there talking, like, which doesn't really help the kid. They have to be able to like do the problem, or even better, explain it to me. If the more you say, the less someone gets. Okay, so the OHLC, how come I don't see OHLC? I know that's what I picked, but isn't there something on the chart that says? Okay, I'll just go back here. OHLC, open, high, low, close. So this is a nice way to visually see the. So this is the last trading day for NVIDIA. So it was a red day. So the peak was here. So it didn't open or close up here, but the peak trading price, which was intraday, was up here at 974. So peaked at 974 intra-trading day, and the lowest point it got was 865. The left bar is open. So it opened here. It opened at 950, 951, and it closed on the right bar. So the right bar is closed. And it's a red bar, so you definitely know the open's up here, the close down here. When it's a green bar, the open's down here, the close up here. But it's always the left vertical bar is the open, and the right vertical bar is the close. I'll be right back. Okay. So the OHLC, it's a nice visual. It helps you see the open, which is the left, the close on the right. Man, I'm not saying knowing this is you're gonna be rich by knowing this stuff, but the more you know, the better kind of investor you'll be. And then, of course, you could do the percentages. So this is FinViz. I'm sure there's other websites that have more of these options. And this shows pre-market. Okay, so you can remove pre and post major events. I think one thing I definitely don't know what all these things mean are the overlays and indicators. So you can do an overlay of high-low. Let's just keep it at the 50, what it was. This is a nice way to look at the resistance points. It's the high-low 50. High-low Investopedia. High-low. I thought this was high-low. Okay. This just shows you the high and low resistance points. Do people use this? This doesn't seem that useful, but well, let me try less. Okay, so this is the high-low for each trading day, which would match. So it matches the chart because it's touching the high, touching the low. So you can do like, I think the default was 50. So it's doing the high-low. It's kind of smooths out the high-low curve or line for the average of the last 50 days. So the high for the last 50 days, this is for a week in February, was, yeah, I'm trying to get better at charts. So the average high for the last 50 days was 822. And the low was about 500. Why was the low so low? Oh, that makes sense. Because the stock was in the 500s or lower than the 500s within the last 50 days. So it takes the average of the last 50 days. The average low. It seems so low, though. But I guess that's it, right? But how do you use this to make money? That's the thing. Like, how do you Bollinger Bands? So it's it's a simple moving average. I think the default is 20-day simple moving average. So this has some similarities to the high-low, but uses 20 days instead of 50 days. Let's see if I change it to 50 days. Okay, it's that's interesting. It's a simple moving average, 20-day simple moving average. So this could give you an indicator of if stocks are trading well outside their range. So you could see NVIDIA, of course, it was trading outside its range because it went up so much. NVIDIA is probably not the best stock. Like if you looked at a stock like AT&T, that probably never trades outside of its range. Well, there was one day it traded outside the range, but because this is the kind of stock that kind of doesn't move too much. There's not much activity. it's between $15 and $20 for the past, is this year? 2 years. And between 14 and 30 for the past 5 years. So it's usually a pretty tight range. That's called the beta. Let me know if there's a stock you want to look at, and I could try to do these indicators, or DCF. Exponential moving average. Does anybody use any of these? VWAP. I hear people talk about VWAP. How about PZA? Soylent Green. It's made of people. I tell you. That was a good episode of what's it called? PZA. Oh, this is a muni bond ETF. So this is probably a pretty low risk, low return investment. Wow. How could it go down so much? I used to insure muni bonds and structured bonds like mortgage-backed securities. I guess that was the COVID crash. Yeah, but it's hard to value something like this. Invesco National AMT Free Municipal Bond ETF. Well, now I like this. Let's look at the percentages. This gives you yeah, I'm sure you get a consistent dividend. Pizza. So it's up 4% in the past year. But muni bonds are tax-free. The dividends are tax-free. I don't know if the ETF is tax-free dividends, but I know munis, the interest rate. Wait, muni bonds. Okay, munis is that the interest they pay is generally exempt from federal and income taxes. They're also generally exempt from state income taxes if the issuer is from the investor's home state. Do you pay taxes on the dividends for PZA? AMT free. I guess alternative minimum tax free. I guess you probably do, right? Tax-free savings account. Well, it's not risk-free because in a savings account, it's pretty much risk-free. You get a 4% return. This kind of investment, obviously can go down, and it has gone down, especially if you got it in 2021. But it hasn't gone down that much. I mean, it went from 27 to 24, and you got your dividend, so you're probably not even down. I usually don't invest in stuff like this. I like things with a little more yield, a little more upside potential. If you mess up, it's your problem. That's true. It really crashed from COVID. I guess everything crashed. I mean, it's not like it went down a lot, but it's such a tight range. It went from like 27 to 23. It's not like it went from like 27 to $5 like some stocks. But yeah, so okay, VWAP, that's what I was saying. Evaluated average. VWAP is calculated using the cumulative total of the price of each trade multiplied by the volume of that trade and then divided by the total volume. Okay, volume weighted average price. There's so many ways to look at these things. I wonder if it's trading benchmark that represents the average price of a security traded throughout the day based on it's weighting it against the volume, hence the name, I guess. Looks similar to moving average but smoother. Retail professional traders use the VWAP to help them determine intraday price trends. VWAP particularly is most useful for short-term traders. I guess a lot of these things are for short-term traders. Where is the VWAP? I mean, I added the VWAP. I don't see it. Okay, so I'm on Microsoft and I added VWAP intraday, and there's nothing that came on the screen. Did I do something wrong? This doesn't make sense. I look at volume too. The volume's on the bottom. I generally think if it's a lot of volume, like volume means trades, then it's probably going to be an active stock. So there's probably more likely to be upside than downside. Generally, if there's a lot of volume, people are buying the stock, but of course, it's possible they could be shorting the stock or something to that effect. Don Sheehan channels. That looks like Bollinger Bands. Don Sheehan channel. How do you use Don? Determine a period. Don Sheehan channels formula. Determine the relative volatility of the market and the potential to breakouts to form it. 3 lines are generated from the moving. So it's like the moving average. So it's like Bollinger Bands. Our technical indicators seek to identify bullish and bearish extremes that favor reversals, higher low breakouts. The middle band computes the average between the highest high over a given period and the lowest low. These points are divided median, mean reversion. Look at the options for NVIDIA. It's huge. Lots of calls from 900 to 1,000. Stream video games? I don't play video games. I haven't played video games since middle school. I don't know why. I lost interest after middle school. I did have friends' houses, but I never had a game system. What else? What other indicators or overlays do you use? I like RSI. I think that's helpful. Money flow index. What the hell is that? Money flow index. Wait, it's getting hot in here. I got to turn it. Volume is like a gas pedal. Money flow index. The money flow index is a technical oscillator that uses price and volume data for identifying overbought, oversold. It can also be used to spot divergences, which warn of a trend. Oscillator moves between 0 and 100. It seems like most of these move between 0 and 100. MFI above 80 is considered overbought and oversold, although levels 90 and 10 are also used as thresholds. So it sounds like similar to the RSI. So if it's a really high money flow index, then stay away. If it's really low, then buy. So you can see like right here, it's like stay away, but that would have been a good time to buy. Here it's saying buy, which I guess you could have bought and then sold up here because it got over. Investing in stock market, very similar to video games. But what's the formula for money flow index? Okay. Oh, it's money flow is the volume of money. So I guess the volume times the stock price. I guess it's kind of unique because obviously a stock like Microsoft or Nvidia is going to have a lot of money flow as opposed to like a small cap stock, which probably won't have much money flow. Rate of change, relative volume, random walk index. Random walk index. Securities price movements to random movements in an effort to determine if it's statistically significant trend. It compares securities price movements to a random sampling to determine if it's engaged in a trend. Okay, so they compare what's the formula? It's the high price minus the low price to the nth power over the average true range times root n. I don't know how people use these things to figure out buying and selling. I guess it's possible. Right. The tricks. Investopedia. The triple exponential average. The triple smoothing of moving averages is designed to filter out price move. So it's just to smooth out and like avoid volatility. Because if stock prices go up quickly or down quickly, it kind of fixes that, I guess. Good to tighten the stop if it shows overbought condition. The thing is, if you use these indicators, unless you're constantly buying and selling, so like obviously Microsoft has done well. It's up 270% in 5 years. So if you, right before the COVID crash, it was a sell, according to the RSI. And let's add another one. Let's do the stochastic. Okay. So, okay. So according to the stochastic fast and the RSI, right before the COVID crash, so I guess in the beginning of 2020, it was a sell. Like these, because these indicators, if it's above 70 or 80, these both of these, then it's a sell. Definitely not a buy. So it looks like it became a buy because the stock crashed, like every stock crashed in March 2020. So it became a buy. And then it was a sell just 3-4 months later. It got high again. It was a sell. So do you sell at this point? And if you did, you would have missed out on a lot of gains because it went up. It did come back down, then it went back up. So I think it's not really, if you're investing in like a good company like Microsoft, just buy and hold. But if you're looking to kind of day trade, and is there any like stocks that people day trade? Is Zim like a volatile stock? It's hard to. That's actually flat in the past 5 years, Zim. I thought it'd be down. So it was like a because it went up a lot from IPO at the end of the beginning of 2021, and went up a lot for like the first 1+ years. So you can't really use these indicators because it's always like have to buy and sell constantly. That's what I'm saying. It's kind of like the roulette thing where you just pick black or red and just keep doing that. Eventually you're going to lose. So unless you always pick the right time to buy and sell, eventually you're going to just lose most of your money. Depends on the company. I would hold on to Microsoft. I still have Broadcom to lock in gains. I kept NVIDIA because it's the better semi. I don't know about everyone else, but I've day traded MSOS ETF for a while. MSOS, cannabis company, cannabis ETF. Oh, that's really bad. Well, cannabis stocks have really struggled. There was a few months where cannabis stocks were like all booming. It was right when Biden got elected, either right before or right after he got elected. Cannabis stocks were up like 50% or even more. So you can see which is a good indicator of cannabis stocks. It went from it looks like this is when it started trading in September 2020. So it went from 20, so it more than doubled. It went up like 100% September. In 5 months, it went up like 130%. But then ever since that peak, because the whole thing was that, well, you probably know this, but cannabis is legal on a state level. Certain states, not every state, but and it's I'm talking about the U.S., of course. It's illegal on a federal level because laws are either state laws or federal laws. They also have county laws. Like if you're in a certain county, they have their own laws. Of course, the Constitution is the law of the land, so nothing supersedes the Constitution. But if you have marijuana on you and you're in a state like California, which is legal, so the cop can arrest you for violating the federal law, but not arrest you because you're not violating the state law. So they kind of disagree with each other. But the reason cannabis hasn't really taken off in the United States is because it's illegal on a federal level. So most people don't want to touch it. Too many problems. So when Biden got elected president, it was a Democrat in the office. So people thought there's a more likely chance of cannabis getting approved on a federal level because Biden was in the office. Why would a Democrat be more likely to approve cannabis than a Republican? I don't know. But I know that was the kind of like the people are thinking it's going to get approved on a federal level. So that's why the stock price went up. And then when people realized that's not going to happen, it just came crashing down. It is up, though, in the past 6 months. It got down to 5, then it went up to, it doubled. What are those kind of tax 280E? I was wondering what kind of investor would you call yourself? I'm a long-term investor. I generally hold long-term. So most stocks I'll hold for many, many years. I used to do more day trading and options for fun. I still do once in a while, but usually I don't. What are the cannabis stocks? What was that cannabis company that was really popular? It was like a meme stock. But I think it's almost came down to nothing. I don't see it, honestly. It's not Canopy. It's not Curaleaf. I don't see it on here. Do you guys? Cannabis is legal in Canada, but generally, like the U.S. has so much money, and we like spending. So if a company wants to make a lot of money, they try to get into the United States. So any company, whatever country they're in, that's kind of like the goal. If you can get into the United States, you'll make a lot of money. China's really big too, but China, there's too many problems. Sundial, thank you, Sundial. I remember there was another YouTuber that was he was so bullish on Sundial. It's SNDL, right? And he kept buying and buying, and I was like, you're buying garbage. It's not even a good company. But whatever. So I guess they must have done a reverse stock split because it looks like it was 80 at IPO, which that can't be. I think they probably did a 5-for-1 reverse stock split. A 1-for-10 reverse stock split. Okay. They were high. It was like $8, I think, at IPO, not 80, of course, but this is split adjusted. And then when was the boom? I think okay, the bottom, the end of 2020 is kind of like is when it really started. It was from the end of 2020 to the beginning of 2021. They were hot, real hot cannabis stocks. So a lot of people buying them. And I remember making videos. They were getting a lot of views also. But after this point, and of course, people don't usually buy it until after everybody else talks about it. Like people aren't buying on the way up. only certain like investors, like more shrewd investors are buying here. But a lot of people started buying up here or up here, but they lost like probably 80% of their investment. Got up to 13. Now it's $1. Let's see, the past 2 years. Yeah, 2 years ago it was 8. Now it's $1.36. When did they do that reverse stock split? So it's just a garbage company. So it's down in the past year 16%. In the past 2 years, it's probably down 80%, 70% in 2 years. In the past 5 years, it's down almost 99%. IIPR. Is that the video I did? Oh no, I'm thinking of something else. Is it IIPR? No, I'm thinking about another cannabis stock. This is it's better, right? Oh, it's a REIT. It's a REIT. Now there was another cannabis stock. I remember I did a video on, and I said this is an acquisition target. I think this is ripe for acquisition, and they were acquired like a few months later, and the stock went up like 50%. But if I put all my money into every time I had a theory, I'd be bankrupt. Or even if I put like 10% of my money into every theory I had, I wouldn't have any money today. Yeah, it's a REIT. Yeah, it's a good way to get into cannabis. Look at my hair. I was trying to. I wasn't balding. I was shaving my head, but it's not growing as much on the top. It looks like I have less hair back then. Yeah, it's a pretty good company. IIPR. Yeah, they were. Yeah, I guess like most stocks, at the end of 2021, they were up there. Then they came down a lot. $2 billion market cap. All right, Utah. Yeah. Yeah, they're doing well. They look really good. Really strong revenue growth, free cash flow growth. They're profitable. They probably pay a high dividend, 7.5%. So they just they lease space to cannabis companies. Right? They buy the real estate and lease it to companies that are growing marijuana or I guess just selling marijuana. Specialized real estate lease to state licensed cannabis operators. State licensed. You can't be federally licensed. It's only state licensed. These are mission critical for operators and well located states with established regulatory environments. So if you're looking to grow cannabis, this is a good company to lease space from. And they have I think they're all in the blue states. The yellow means they don't have any locations. So California's 9, Texas, a couple in Texas, 4 in Florida, 4 in Jersey, 10 in Massachusetts. It's kind of like if you want to get into crypto, but you don't like the volatility of Bitcoin, it's like then you invest in Coinbase, or or if you want to get into cannabis, but you're a little concerned, then you just go for something like this, an ETF. A REIT that leases out their space to cannabis growers. This could be a good time to buy. I mean, it's down a ton. I mean, it's only up 40%. Oh, this is a REIT? I mean, a SPAC? A REIT. Of course it's a REIT. This is a SPAC? No, probably not a SPAC. Well, it's possible, I guess. Are there any REIT SPACs? No, I don't think it is. Because usually a SPAC starts out at $10 and it's flat $10 for several months. I doubt it. I don't think there's any REIT SPACs. Is IPR a SPAC? I'd be shocked if it was. Does anybody know? Are there any REITs that started out as a SPAC? Are REITs? A SPAC is different than a REIT. SPAC sometimes are referred to shell companies. Well, I know they're different. I'm just wondering if a SPAC ever acquired a REIT. Because, well, no, actually, no. That can't happen because a REIT has to publicly trade to be a REIT. I think all REITs are public. You can't be a private REIT. Real estate investment can be classified into either private or public. Oh, okay. So maybe you could acquire a REIT, a private REIT. Are all REITs public listed? Many REITs are registered with the SEC and are publicly traded. These are known as public. Others may be registered with the SEC but are not publicly traded. Okay. But I think all REITs are probably registered with the SEC, but I guess some aren't publicly traded. Fits with Stag and Prologic. Stag and Prologic. Are those the prison REITs? Is Stag. There's a few prison REITs, but it's not Stag, right? What kind of REIT is that? What properties? What type of REIT is Stag? It's just industrial properties. Stag. Maybe investor relations. Focus on acquisition, ownership, industrial properties throughout the United States. Our platform is designed to identify properties for acquisition. Remain. What prison REITs? People hate prison REITs. Always people get upset. Like you're supporting, real estate prison REITs. A Geo, that was it. Geo is a Geo. Is it still around, Geo, or is it? Because these prison REITs are because prisons are usually funded by the government. So the government or a city or a town, they own the prison. So it's funded by the government or funded by that state. And that's how they get money to pay the guards and, feed the prisoners, things like that. But prison REITs are they're companies, privately held companies that act as prisons. So it's like a quasi-government agency. They do get funding from the government, but it helps the government because it's a lot of it's expensive and time-consuming to have to manage so many entities, like because the government has to manage schools, police, the police force, firemen, a lot of different companies they have to manage. So it's good to have that off their hands if they can get a private company to do it. So they just give money to the private company to operate the prison. But then there's like an ethical thing going on with like, is it right for a private company? Because a private company is there to make money. That's their main goal, is to make money. Even if it's doing something like I had a private company. I was tutoring kids in math. My goal was to make money. Of course, I want kids to learn math, but I can't run the business unless I make money. So that was the real goal of the business. But people think like that shouldn't be, like, people shouldn't be making money off of prisoners. It's an ethical thing, but I don't know. I don't really agree with that. But the profitability for these firms depends on the number of prisoners they house in the facilities. Some prominent prison and law enforcement stocks in this context include Palantir. Palantir is a prison stock. I wouldn't have thought of that. CACI, I did a video on them before. Let's see. It's really struggling. It was over 30 in 2017. They did a split, a couple of normal splits. They cut their dividend. So yeah, it's struggling. Revenue is flat. But it's like, how do you become more profitable as a prison? Then you just have to start cutting corners, like maybe not buy as, cut corners on food, or on staffing. So then it becomes a problem. Like, you're trying to make money and you're getting government funding. And then, and I know I've read a lot of stories about prisoners who were not happy, and a lot of Geo. Let me see if I can get so Geo, I think, is the bigger one, right? It's down a lot. Is a provider for secure facilities, processing centers, and reentry centers, custody, rehab, post-release. I don't know where to read those reviews. I remember too much politics influence. Okay, Geo Prison. So I want to get an example of what prisons they own. As a publicly traded C corporation, divest in private prisons and mental health facilities, illegal immigration centers. Did anybody see that movie on Netflix about that guy who was housed in the illegal, not in the immigration center? I can't remember the name of that. It was the name of his Netflix immigration movie. What's the name of that place in Guantanamo Bay? It's called the Mauritanian. That's the country he's from, Mauritania. So he's Mauritanian. It's a good movie, The Mauritanian. It's about a person who was housed at Guantanamo Bay who was mistreated. The company has been the subject. This is back to Geo. Subject of civil suits in the U.S. by prisoners and families of prisoners for injuries due to riots and poor treatment of prisons and immigration facilities. That's a thing they have to deal with because Hakanashi candles. I think we were talking about that in the beginning, the Hakanashi. So the Hakanashi is similar to the candlestick chart, except it smooths out the candles, I guess you can say. You see how like this is a Hakanashi and it has green, red, red, red. This is the regular candlestick, which you can see the last. These are trading days. So last trading day is red, red, red. Because on the last trading day, which was March 8th, last Friday, this stock opened up here. It opened at 97.53. It closed down here because it's red, so it has to open on top, close on the bottom. So it was a down day. Hakanashi, if I'm saying that right, it smooths out the last few trading days. So it appears, even though it went down, it appears as a green candle. I'm not too sure, like how do you, so this is the calculation. It takes the closing price equals 1/4 of the open plus the high for the day plus the low plus the close. So it kind of averages out the numbers. Because if you have like these really big wicks in either direction, they want to smooth out those numbers. Like when you have a big wick up here, because it opened down here. This is on February 27th. It opened at $90 about. And it closed here. It closed at 94. But you could see this wick up here. So intraday, it got up to 96. Do you use Hakanashi candles? Like, how do you find it beneficial? Like, I don't really use it that much. I do like candlesticks. So it opened down here. And then sometime midday, I don't know what time, It might have been right before the close or right after the open. But sometime throughout the trading day, the stock got really high, but the bears managed to push it down to this point. So it closed here. And then the next day it opened down here. So it opened lower due to post-market and pre-market trading. And then it got pushed up here. Then opened down here, pushed up here. Open down here, pushed. So 5 straight up days. But like, you could try to look at these candlesticks or whatever and try to identify trends. But if the market is green on a trading day, it's likely your stock will go up. If it's a red day and a lot of stocks go down, your stock will go down. So stocks aren't really independent. They're generally connected. Like when one stock has a really good earnings, like when Meta has really good earnings and the stock goes up a lot, then you see like similar companies stock go up because the market thinks, well, if Meta had a good earnings, so will this company. Okay. Well, I guess that was another good day on charts. I guess I'm gonna sign off now. Thanks everybody for joining and commenting. Unfortunately, work tomorrow. Back to the grind. Until next weekend. I'll see ya.